Investors have been big buyers of utility stocks. This once sleepy sector is now powering the AI boom. But after the big run-up in these stocks, how do you pick long-term winners? Coming up, we'll speak with an expert about how you should think about investing in this sector. Plus, we'll walk you through 10 stocks you should know about. So let's get started. This is Ticker Take. Hey, Caroline.
Oh, hey, John.
What do you have there?
I've got the power.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, we're all feeling this AI power boom these days.
Yeah, and that's helped fuel utility stocks. AI requires massive amounts of power. Just last week, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang predicted that we'll see $3 to $4 trillion of spending in AI infrastructure by the end of this decade.
And Caroline, those are some big numbers, but after a big run-up for the stocks, it's getting pretty hectic for investors.
Well, and to make it less hectic, we're going to hear from Ryan Bushell of Newhaven Asset Management.
Ryan's been a successful investor in utility stocks for many years, and of all the people we talked to, he was one of the first to predict this coming wave of demand.
All right, let's hear from Ryan.
Ryan, great to have you back with us here on Ticker Take.
Excited to be here, John.
So everybody's been talking about this power boom. Is it something that you should get truly excited about? Is it the real deal?
So we are excited about it as big utility and infrastructure investors. We think this theme plays out for a number of decades, not just a number of years. There is a lot of hype, obviously, as it ties into AI and the recent announcements on nuclear restarts and things of that nature. But behind that, we think there's good fundamentals as it comes to population growth and migration, warming climate, more cooling demand, reshoring of manufacturing activity, and differences in trade patterns, bringing more productive capacity back to North America, electric vehicles and electrification of transportation. And then obviously the data centers theme, which everybody is much more aware of today than they were a couple of years ago, that adds to it as well.
So a lot of driving forces right now. The stocks themselves, at least some of them, have had these big runs. So what does an investor looking at this sector have to start with? What do they have to think about first?
Yeah, so obviously, some of the stocks that have run more are more based on short-term catalysts. So, as I said earlier, the nuclear restart story, gas turbines, things of that nature, electric components, all of those things have had big runs. What we like as really utility and slow and steady investors is the stable growth we can get from the utility companies over a number of years, just taking the growth rate from, low single digits to mid to high single digits with a long sustainable runway. We're about compounding high single digit returns for decades versus a high return for a couple of years.
All right, with all that said, let's hear more from Ryan with 10 stocks to watch in the sector. But first, a friendly reminder, this is not financial advice. In alphabetical order, stock number 1, Altagas.
Well, Altagas is a well-liked stock. About 70% of the analysts recommend it. Where do you come in on this one, Ryan?
This is a company we've owned for quite a while, and we really like the balance of US-based utility assets combined with a Canadian natural gas and liquefied petroleum gas export story. So we still like it. It's one of our largest holdings at Newhaven, and solid dividend growth, steady fundamental earnings growth with potentially, catalyst in the future of either splitting the company or having it merged into another.
Stock number 2, American Electric Power.
Well, this one has had a solid year. In part, now you've got some of the analysts who seem to be on the fence. They wouldn't be surprised to see more upside, though. What's your perspective on this one?
So with U.S. utilities, which we're not big owners of, you want to be really careful with what jurisdictions they're operating in. And so we like the mix of jurisdictions for American Electric Power, especially Texas, which figures to be a key center for data center growth, population growth, and other forms of electric power generation and distribution.
Stock number 3, Cameco.
Cameco's had a big run. It is still liked by about 85% of the analysts who cover it. Ryan, what can you tell us about Cameco?
Yeah, so we don't own Cameco for our more conservative clients, but if you're looking to play the power demand and growth theme, I think nuclear is definitely going to be a part of that picture. So Cameco being one of the world's largest uranium producers, plus having a stake in Westinghouse, which provides equipment and refurbishment contracts for nuclear reactors. We think Cameco is going to be a part of that story.
Stock number 4, Constellation Energy.
Well, Constellation Energy has come up on Ticker Take before, and there's been a lot of attention around it since Microsoft and Constellation had a big partnership last year. Now, most analysts are still positive on the company. What do people have to know about Constellation?
Yeah, so Constellation is getting a lot of press due to the nuclear restarts related to, as you mentioned earlier, tech companies looking for nuclear power. The stock has tripled since the beginning of 2024. So I think investors need to be cautious as it relates to that company. But again, here, there is a longer term story embedded in the company. And so I think it's one to be conscious of as you're looking at the space, but it's not one that we're looking at for our conservative clients.
Stock number 5, Enbridge.
Enbridge is a major player across North America. This is one you have a position in.
Yeah, and slow and steady with Enbridge has been a long-term story for us. It's one of our largest positions, and it's now sitting at all-time highs. And what's happening to the company today, once seen as an oil transporter, now more and more gas infrastructure, just purchased 3 large gas utilities in the United States, and we think those have a lot of growth in front of them as it relates to this power demand theme.
Stock number 6, Fortis.
Well, Fortis is a solid advancer this year. Street seems a little more mixed at this point, maybe because of that. This is a company you have a position in.
Yeah, another one of our largest positions, and keenly participating in this power demand theme. Fortis is a forever stock for us. We've owned it for a long time. We intend to continue to own it. But what excites us as we look at this power demand story is the jurisdictions they're operating in. They have a big position in Arizona. They're also in the New York State area. And they have an interstate transmission business, which we think figures to be a part of this growth in power demand, power usage, and transmission going forward.
Stock number 7, GE Vernova.
GE Vernova has been a monster stock this year. It still gets a lot of love from the analysts on Wall Street. Walk us through this story, and this was part of the larger breakup of the GE empire.
Yeah, so this is the more industrial side of GE, and the biggest thing they make that's participating in this theme is gas turbines. And so for us, again, we don't want to be at the leading edge of the wedge when it comes to these types of investments. We're happy to let these companies run and have their day. But coming in behind that, we think is a huge amount of natural gas power demand. Natural gas production in the United States at 110 BCF this summer. That's the highest ever. And the companies that ship, transport, and distribute that gas is what we're interested in. So GE Vernova is a good highlight to say this is where the theme is today, but we think in behind that there's a more sustainable long-term growth play.
Stock number 8, NextEra Energy.
Well, when we look at performance for stocks this year, this one hasn't had the same kind of performance as some of those other ones we've talked about. It is still liked by 2/3 of the analysts who cover it. Break down the NextEra story.
Yeah, so coming out of 2020 and 2021, where renewables were kind of all the rage in the utility and infrastructure market, they've had a softening since then, a consolidation. But you can see the story starting to move ahead again this year, albeit slowly. We think that their jurisdictions, being Florida and other areas in the United States, and that they are going to be a part of this power demand story. It's going to take renewables, it's going to take coal, it's going to take gas, and it's going to take nuclear. So NextEra is going to be involved. Again, we like the Canadian side a little bit more, just from a preference, multiple, and jurisdiction perspective. But we think NextEra is probably a good thing to look at in terms of the power demand story as well.
Stock number 9, Sempra Energy.
Well, analysts seem a little bit more mixed on Sempra. Give us the breakdown on this one.
Yeah, so again, when looking at U.S. utilities, you really want to be looking at their jurisdictions. So with Sempra, you get California and you get Texas. California, the technology story. Texas, the population growth, cooling demand, industrial, and probably some data centers demand as well, just because it's easier to get things done in Texas. And they have lots of arable land and energy to produce the power. So we think that those utilities are going to be valuable going forward. And again, it's not going to be a tomorrow story. This is going to be something that grinds on for years and years.
And stock number 10, TC Energy.
Wrapping up our 10 to watch, this is one you do have a position in.
Yeah, and TC Energy is just a integral part of the power demand story, not only at home, but abroad as well. They touch 25% of North American natural gas molecules across the continent. They have infrastructure exporting to Mexico, infrastructure going to export projects in the US and Canada, and with LNG demand growing as well. We think TC Energy is really well positioned across a number of areas of their business to benefit from not only the domestic power demand growth theme, but globally as well.
Those are 10 power stocks to watch. Our thanks to Ryan Bushell. You can learn more about Ryan in the description of our YouTube video.
Where we've also got more of our Ticker Take offerings, from our free weekly investing newsletter to the podcast version of Ticker Take. And if you're listening to us on the pod, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah, help us reach our goal of 25,000 subscribers this year. Hey, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. I've got the power! It's getting pretty hectic. It's getting. Where's the dog there?
It's getting kind of hectic.